June 22, 2011, the day former Penn State assistant coach Jerry Sandusky was arrested on 12 counts of sexual assault of children, sending shockwaves through a nation that had once celebrated the Nittany Lions as a football dynasty. The arrest was not an isolated incident, but the explosive tip of an iceberg that hid a decades-long pattern of abuse and a systematic cover-up that would forever tarnish the university's legacy. Jerry Sandusky arrived at Penn State in 1969, first as a graduate assistant, then as a defensive line coach, eventually becoming the beloved defensive coordinator under head coach Joe Paterno. Over the next 44 years, he built the Second Mile charity, ostensibly devoted to helping underprivileged youth. In reality, the organization became the conduit through which Sandusky lured vulnerable boys, some as young as 10, to his home where the assaults occurred. Former victims later described a predatory cycle: gifts, rides, and private meetings that masked a darker intent. While the abuse spanned the 1990s and early 2000s, a handful of warnings surfaced, most notably a 1998 phone call from a former player who reported a young man with a strange relationship with a teenage athlete. The call was dismissed, and the warning vanished into the university's bureaucracy. The turning point arrived when Mike McQueary, a graduate assistant coach, witnessed Sandusky in a hallway with a 10-year-old boy on November 5, 2001. McQueary's description, Sandusky's hands on the child's shorts as the boy cried, was relayed to head coach Paterno, who told him to let it go. Paterno, the university president, and senior athletic officials then failed to report the incident to law enforcement, opting instead for an internal investigation that concluded with a no action recommendation. The decision to keep the matter secret set the stage for a massive institutional failure that would later be exposed in court. When the FBI and the Pennsylvania State Police finally opened a joint investigation in 2009, the net began to tighten. A search of Sandusky's home and the Second Mile offices uncovered a trove of incriminating evidence: hundreds of emails, photographs of nude boys, and a detailed ledger of the children he had invited into his world. In total, Sandusky faced 12 criminal charges, including aggravated sexual assault, endangering the welfare of a minor, and unlawful contact with a minor. The indictment painted a chilling picture of a man who had used his status, his charity, and the university's prestige to gain access to children, then exploited that trust in a calculated, predatory pattern. The trial began on June 6, 2012, before Judge John B. Zane in the Center County Court. The prosecution, led by District Attorney John M. Hines, methodically presented the evidence: graphic testimonies from 6 victims, corroborated by the physical evidence recovered from Sandusky's home. The victims described being lured to his house under the guise of football drills or charity events, then forced into rooms where Sandusky would assault them while threatening them with threats of exposure. In a particularly harrowing moment, former victim Michael G. recounted how Sandusky's voice turned into a whisper as he said, "Don't tell anyone," while he forced his hand down my pants. The defense, headed by attorney John O. Sneed, attempted to undermine the credibility of the accusers, suggesting they had motives for financial gain. Yet the weight of the forensic evidence, texts, emails, and photographs rendered those arguments ineffective. Throughout the proceedings, the courtroom became a stage for a larger narrative about institutional responsibility. The prosecution called former Penn State officials, including former university president Graham Spanier and former athletic director Tim Curley, to testify about the internal discussions that followed McQueary's report. Their testimony revealed a calculated effort to protect the football program's reputation at any cost. When former assistant coach Tom Bradley testified, he described a culture of silence that pervaded the athletic department, where loyalty to the program outweighed moral duty. The trial's media coverage was relentless, with each day's testimony dissected by a nation watching, as the myth of the invincible Penn State empire crumbled before their eyes. On June 22, 2012, exactly 1 year after his arrest, Jerry Sandusky was found guilty on 10 of the 12 charges. The verdict resonated far beyond the courthouse walls. It signaled that even the most revered institutions could not hide behind their trophies. The sentencing phase, held in September, resulted in a maximum sentence of 30 to 60 years, effectively a life term for the 57-year-old former coach. The judge's words echoed the collective outrage. "You have violated the innocence of children, and the damage you caused will last a lifetime." In the aftermath, Penn State faced a cascade of consequences. The NCAA imposed the harshest sanctions in its history: a $60 million fine, a 4-year postseason ban, the loss of 111 football scholarships, and the vacating of 111 wins, including the 1994 national championship. The university's board of trustees dismissed President Graham Spanier, and the iconic P on the Penn State campus was draped in black. Joe Paterno, once a revered figure, was stripped of his coaching record and forced into early retirement, his legacy forever tainted by the phrase "failure to protect." The Second Mile organization dissolved, and numerous civil lawsuits filed by victims resulted in multimillion-dollar settlements that continued to drain the university's coffers. Beyond the immediate legal and financial fallout, the Sandusky case sparked a nationwide reckoning on how institutions handle abuse. Subscribe to The Verdict for more stories like this.